Welcome back to our special coverage of the Mid-Atlantic primaries. I'm Jolene Kent with some brand new exit poll data for you right now. Of top of mind for many voters, the economy and Wall Street. We want to see how voters feel. And you can see in these three states, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Connecticut, 40 to 50% of voters say that Wall Street actually hurts the U.S. economy. Now, of these voters, 60 to 70% of them are going for Donald Trump. And for those who say Wall Street helps the economy, 40 to 50% of those are going for Donald Trump. So he has a hold on both sides of that. We want to show you the Democrats as well here. You can see that in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Connecticut, more than 50% of Democrats believe that Wall Street hurts the U.S. economy. But the vote here very much split. Those in Pennsylvania and Connecticut going for Sanders, but in Maryland, they're going for Hillary Clinton. We also want to show you what other issues people are thinking about in terms of the economy. Trade, for example, a big one. In Connecticut, 43% of Democrats say it takes away U.S. jobs, while 53% say it takes away jobs. But I believe this actually data is from Pennsylvania, not Connecticut, as it says right there. We also want to show you the Democrats as well, if we can flip over to that. All right, so I guess we won't flip then. It says, but 70% of the Republicans, you can see here, 53% of them, 70% of those voters, they are going for Donald Trump, whereas among the Democrats, it is split 50-50. So I'll send it back to you, Neil, with that new exit poll data.
That's wild. The Democrats and Republicans are leery of the financial community. I don't know how you take that going into a full campaign. Lou Dobbs, what do you think?
I think it's extraordinary. And this number, by the way, it reflects a similar pattern in New York.
Right, in New York.
Right. Where it all lives.
Yeah.
And to think that people are that disenchanted with the markets, fearful of markets and the system that has produced certainly the 2008 financial crisis, but also has brought back to extraordinary levels these market indexes. But
with very little individual retail participation.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And when we look at defined benefit programs, pensions versus 401ks, people have so much money at risk, and they've not done as well.
You've been pounding that theme.
Yeah.
Sure have.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you oppose Wall Street when Wall Street has recovered fully from 2008 and enriched countless pension funds, mutual fund holders, investment partnerships, and all the rest of it? Why do you pound these people?
Why do politicians pound these? I mean, let's be real clear. Pounding Wall Street has been a bipartisan sport since 2008. Some of it's deserved. Someone who's covered the financial crisis. I'm not sugarcoating what they did. They did a lot of bad stuff. But this anti-Wall Street attack on the establishment is both a Republican thing, it's a Democratic thing. Donald Trump does it all the time. Hillary Clinton does it when now she's forced to do it more because of Bernie Sanders. Rand Paul did it. Ted Cruz every now and then does it. The only people you don't hear really doing it is John Kasich and Jeb Bush, because they both worked for Lehman Brothers.
Well,
but everybody else engaged in
But also, there's a thick, buttery ripple of
incipient point for 2008
running through both parties right now. And frankly, economic conservatives have done a very poor job of defending wealth and wealth creation in this country.
It's almost like they're afraid to.
It's an abomination. It's so easy to pick on Wall Street. And I guess the thing that people see is, these corporations are making billions of dollars in profit, and I'm not. I can't take my kids to the movies. I can't save for college, and here these fat cats are getting richer.
You can take your kids to the
course, Neil.
Well, where conservatives screwed up is that they didn't say how government was making it difficult for you to.
Well, they failed to make that case. But to be fair to Donald Trump, he has found a middle ground here that might work in a fall campaign. Mike Huckabee joins us right now. Governor, it is odd when I look at, and Lou pointed out in New York, we're seeing signs of it in Connecticut and some of these other states. By the way, the ocean state of Rhode Island has just gone for Donald Trump. All right, so that is the fourth state he's picked up tonight. We'll just wait on Delaware, I believe that, and he just completes the sweep. But Governor, I apologize. On to that notion of what Republicans do to answer this cynicism that's out there, even among Republican voters, about Wall Street. What do you think?
Well, let's look at an example. This past week, Jamie Dimon came out. He got a huge salary, a big bonus. His company got bailed out in the big government bailout. But you know what his suggestion was? His suggestion was to make sure that we go out and cut Social Security benefits. Now, just think about that in context. You want to know why people in America are angry at Wall Street? It's nonsense like that. when a person is trying to figure out how they're going to make it, and somebody who is making tens of millions is suggesting we cut Social Security. The bailouts went to the top of the food chain, and the folks at the bottom got the shaft, and it's just as clear as that.
Well, to be fair, he was talking in the aggregate, Governor, about
creative.
entitlements, and that's the only way you're going to get our debt under control. But you're quite right. He did include in that dealing with Social Security. Lou Dobbs, is that a problem for Republicans?
It is a huge problem, and it's one, by the way, I've been talking and writing about for a very long time. We have an inequality of income issue in this country, a great divide that has worsened since the 70s. The middle class has shrunk by 11% over the course of the last 30 years. Middle class incomes, working men and women in this country, they've had zero wage increases in real terms in the past 30 years. To what the governor is talking about, the Republicans have got to talk honestly about this. And I've got to tell you, without Donald Trump in this debate, this great debate,
don't we have to deal with Social Security? And let's be clear.
No, we do not have to.
But here's the thing. Warren Buffett and Lou Dobbs do not deserve a Social Security check. No offense. They don't.
I've got no problem. I personally have no problem with it.
They don't need it.
Social Security is not an entitlement.
This is what I'm saying. And
it's not an entitlement. We shouldn't be thinking of it in those terms.
When we look at stuff that could make the country bankrupt in the future, Social Security is one of those things where the costs are greater than the amount of money that's going to be put in.
And
it's a Ponzi scheme. And rich people, and I think this is what Johnny...
Ponzi scheme?
Yeah. That means there's less money.
What you're saying is
paying in than are drawing from it.
We're going to lose Governor Huckabee. I don't want to do that. Governor, you don't agree with that. Early on in the campaign, I remember when you were in the race and Chris Christie was in the race, Christie went out on that third rail and said, we have to recognize Social Security for what it is, something that is not sustainable at the rate it's going. You argued with that, and you still do. Why? Delaware,
well, number
we can't
one is
claim
because
Delaware
Social Security is not an entitlement. Social Security is an earned benefit.
Yes,
it's not the government's money. People paid that money in through their whole lives, and they didn't do it voluntarily. This was not some fund that they got to contribute to if they wanted to. The government took it out of their paychecks at times in their lives when they really could have used that cash. Now, here's the point. You say, well, rich people shouldn't collect it. Well, then why should rich people get interest on their earnings? They don't need that either. Why should rich people get dividends? They probably don't need that either. The point is, it's not the government's job to take away money that belongs to somebody else. And by the way, when I hear people say this will bankrupt us, there's a way to fix this. 4% economic growth, we fully fund Social Security. This is not an issue of Social Security costing too much. It's an issue of our economy being too weak and too anemic.
What do you think?
Fix
That's going to be
that,
defining
and you fix
issue,
Social
Stuart.
Security.
Growth is the most important thing that we need in America. If we can get 4, even 5% growth, the way we did back in the 1980s by cutting individual tax rates and corporate tax rates, you give me 4% growth, and I'll give you a partial solution to some of the problems which our nation faces.
But the problem with that is
we have 4% growth.
The problem with that is, and it's not a hypothetical, is in 2001 and 2003, George W. Bush did as he promised and cut taxes, and did so significantly. The result was one of the most anemic periods of job creation in this country's history. We've got to go beyond the reflexive ideological, mantras.
Right.
We've got to look honestly at the consequences of public policy and business practices on our middle class.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. What we can tell you now, for Donald Trump, all but Delaware in his column right now. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on this. He might sweep all 5 states. Of those 118 delegates that are the serious ones up for grabs tonight, I'm just looking at this ratio in some of these states, 55 to 60%. That could guarantee him as many as 100 delegates tonight. More to this.